Hi kids, welcome to Terry on Tuesday, as it says there. Don't worry, this week I'm not doing another live. I've done a few lives over the Crimbo period and the New Year, and they were great fun. I will be doing some more at some point. I only get about 8 or 9 viewers tops, but it's nice to interact with people in the live chat and to waffle on. They end up being quite long videos, unfortunately. But this week I'm going to try and get back to normal, i.e. normal, whatever normal is. Normal. And I'm going to try and do an edited video because I've got a build to do. So, I've got this big build to do. It's coming up. Let's just jump straight into it, shall we? Alrighty then, here we are in double screeny vision. Gooder. As you can probably tell, down there is the ANDOR logo. Yes, I'm building something from the TV series ANDOR. This is a commission. It's going to be very large, not too complicated, but made out of EVA foam. So it's 10mm foam, it's quite thick, it's very light, and it's quite easy to work with. So what am I building? Well, of all the wonderful characters, costumes, props, and things you've seen in the ANDOR series, nothing is more exciting than this, the 6-pointed mechanical thing that they were building loads of in the Narkina 5 prison. Now, if you've seen ANDOR, you'll know what it is, but I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't. I know a lot of people have said, oh, well, you know, I don't really want to watch ANDOR and it's a bit slow or whatever. Fine, miss out. But anyway, I'm not going to spoil it. But if you know, you know. So this is basically a 6-pointed piece of machinery that you can see all the guys there building in this prison factory, basically a sweatshop where they're just making these as fast as they can because the Empire needs loads of them. So I've got this as a reference photo. There aren't many great reference photos of the entire thing. I'll see if I can. There we go. So, the person who's commissioned me to do this, we'll call him Mr. C, is, apart from being slightly insane, he wants this as a wearable costume, believe it or not. It's not a robot, it's not a droid, it's literally a piece of machinery. But, you know, because I don't have a massive YouTube following, at least it's going to remain a secret for most people. So when he gets to finally wear it in a few months' time at a big event, people will just freak out and go, what kind of nut job wears that? I think it's amazing. I think it's really thinking outside the box, and it'll be pretty much fun to do. So that's the kind of size of this thing. I got a feeling that the size I've got it there is about right. If I make it any bigger, it may be unwieldy. I mean, even now, you're going to have to go sideways through doors. I don't know if yet I'm going to do, as you can see here, they all have hinged parts. You know, I don't think they're going to be sort of movable hinges. I don't know. It would help, actually, if we could fold this up a little bit. And, you know, these could actually curl in like a spider's legs to help him get through doors or to help him travel with it. I may have to make it modular so it can actually be reassembled. I don't think I can get something this big down to the venue. So when you cut to the scale drawing, I've asked for some measurements. I haven't asked for a lot, but as you can see, I've asked for everything in red and I've got the numbers there in black. So that's a rough idea. It's a good thing that Mr. C is actually close to the same height and sort of shape as me, which is handy. The pair of us are slightly, shall we say, rotund in certain places. But here's a slight close-up of the machine that they're making. See, they're making, how many making there? 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 at a time. So I've got to make this in EVA foam and possibly, you know, my brief does say that it doesn't have to be ridiculously accurate as long as people know what it is, which is cool. I'll do my best. But I'll cut corners where need be because it's a one-off costume. I don't think it'll be used more than once, but we'll see how it goes anyway. So that's what I'm going to build. Now we're going to cut over to Photoshop, where you can see where I'm trying to work out sizes and shapes, etc. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and as you can see, I've made a kind of mock-up of the piece. I've taken one spoke, shall we say, we'll call it a spoke because I don't know the name of these things, and I've basically copied it 6 times. In fact, 3 times. 3 times for the front Y shape and 3 times for the slightly different alternate spokes. So it gives me an idea of the shape, etc. So I've worked out a center line, a center plus. You can't see my cursor, unfortunately, but there you go. But you can see that I'm trying to work out little gaps and stuff here, based on size. And let's put some more numbers in. So this is 220. See if I can zoom in a little closer. There we go. 220 millimeters right across. I've only done half of it, but basically it'll go from there right across the middle to the other side. So that's how wide the widest part of the spoke is. Then we've got 100 there, 10 centimeters, 13.5 centimeters, 90 at the top, 120 a bit further down, and 850 total length from center to the top of a spoke. Now that as you can see now, I've started drawing in orange here, just to sort of define the lines a little bit more, and we've got another center spot in the middle where the sort of hinge on the spoke would be. This will help me to work out my cutting sizes. I'm going to try and transfer all the pieces I need onto a large sheet of foam, which I have 4 of, 6 foot by 4 foot, and we will take it from there, and we'll maybe we'll go downstairs and start marking stuff out. So, foamage, big sheets of foam. Ooh, okay. Pattern side, easy mat written on there, gotta avoid that. So instead of cutting it all down here, I think I'm gonna cut it off in chunks and work with it in smaller chunks. So it's at this point I decided to put some rubber underneath the mat, so I've got something I don't mind being cut rather than the second sheet of foam. So, first 3 chunks cut. Let's take them upstairs and try and get them into shape. One thing I wanted to say was, you didn't see it in the Photoshop section, but I put a grid. You can use Photoshop to put a grid on things, and I put a grid which was marked at 20 millimeters or 2 centimeters per line. So I've basically worked everything out to within 20 millimeters. So now I know that in future when I'm making more parts, once I've started assembling it, I can work out on the grid on Photoshop as close as possible to what these things are, which is why this is 220 and that's 110, etc. But what I've discovered, I've got some Christmas wrapping paper here, and on the inside, this is getting quite common wrapping paper, there's a grid, and that grid, guess what, happens to be 20 centimeters, a 20 centimeter grid, which is very handy because now it's past Christmas, of course. I can use this to mark out shapes before I cut them out, so I can actually draw my shapes onto this piece of paper, and I don't have to worry about measuring stuff too closely because I've got a grid marked at 20 millimeters. I don't know if you all can see that. There you go. A 20 millimeter grid, which will make some really good templates if I need them. So I'll be doing that at some point. So these are the 3 pieces we just cut. The plan is now to mark them out into the side pieces. So the way I'm going to do this is I've already cut these a little wider than they need to be. So they only need to be, I think it was 220. Yes, 220. So obviously the easiest way to do that, I've got my silver pen working, and I'm going to mark 220. Now I can see that with the, that's actually a gold pen in fact. 220 on this one. Check that one again because I don't trust my eyes. Mark it every so often in order to get the piece right across. So get this as close as possible. Accuracy has never been my strong point, admittedly, which is not what you want to hear from a guy who's supposed to be doing this as a part of his job. But I'm very good at winging things and fixing things. Anyway, we're nearly there. I haven't put enough marks, I don't think, but this will be pretty good. Unfortunately, when you drag this pen across, it doesn't really mark as well as I thought. But this foam, as you can see, takes a lot of dents. As soon as it gets scratched or moved, you know, you can see that. So just going to finish off that bit. Okay, so 220. So we've got a bit extra here. Yes, it's wastage, and there's an argument that could be said for maybe I should have cut them at exactly 220 to have 0 wastage, but I don't mind a bit of wastage because all this sort of stuff is going to be used as reinforcement and things on the inside, because you're always going to need little blocks or little wedges or little pieces that you can stick on the inside to reinforce certain things. Now, the actual length of the piece was 900. So do we have a tape measure? Yes, we do. Right in front of me. I'm going to go by the neatest edge, which is on this side. Mark this at 900. Unfortunately, the light bulb is behind me, so I'm casting a shadow onto everything. If I can just get out of the way. There's 900 there. And same here. Or good. Okay, so we've got to cut off that thin strip there and this section on here, which is the offcut. But before that, I want to mark out the curves. Each end has got a perfect hemisphere of a radius of 110. So I've done this before with other jobs. When I'm doing largish curves, what I'll do is make some marks. 110 from the one end there, 110 down this end. I'm just going to check that first one again. Yeah. Then we draw across. In fact, I'm not going to draw across with a pen. I'm just going to mark it with a pencil that scores it so I can see that line. Then you mark halfway. It's 110 there. I'm just going to check it from this end as well to check it is 110. Yes. Okay, so I've marked 110 from the end of the piece to there and 110 halfway. So this is basically 110, 110, 110, etc. The way I've marked these curves in the past is I've made myself a compass. I don't have a compass for doing curves, but what I've done in the past, you can use a bit of cardboard, but I've gone and used an old plastic clear ruler, and you'll notice, if you can notice it, it's in very battered condition. There's a hole right there that I can put a pin through, and there's a hole 110 there, oh sorry, on the end that I can also put a pin or a pen through. So what I do is put the pin in this end, put it on the dot that we marked there. So now we've got our compass. So then all I do is put the pencil in the one end, drag it around. I appreciate that you probably can't see it very well on video because I'm obviously working with black lines on a very dark grey thing, but I don't know if you can see that. Ooh, not great, but it's not too bad. You can just about see that I've got a hemisphere here. Now all I need to do is the same on the other side. I'm going to, don't worry, I'm not going to do this with every single piece, otherwise this video will stretch over months and months and months. But small mark there, 110. I'm just going to go check that side again because, like I say, here we go. So mark that there. I'm just going to score across. This is a clutch pencil, by the way, and then halfway again across this way, 110 there. And so again, take my ruler, put the pin, sorry, right there, and then try and scribe a curve. And obviously the holes on here are 110 apart. So if I had a bigger curve, I'd use probably a long piece of cardboard with holes in, but I'd still pin it. That needs another go over. Nope, broke off. We go. Yeah, it broke off again. I mean, you can use a pin or anything else really. I could have used another pin, but the pencil's fine. So now we've got it all marked out, both sides with the curves. So I've cut out the three, possibly the biggest parts. These are obviously going to be folded at a weird degree like that. For the sides of the biggest parts. Pretty good. Edges might need a wee bit of a sanding, but we'll do all that near the end. But that's all about time I've got for this week because we're getting into 20 odd minutes, and I'll do a little bit more in the week and hopefully have another video for you next week where we start assembling these into something a bit more recognizable. So anyway, thanks for watching. As usual, do the usual like and subscribe stuff down there, and thanks for watching, and I will see you next week.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.